Hey everyone, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'm regular host Hassan, joined by regular host Tristan.
Hey, that's me.
And today we're here to talk about the super psychological, deep show everyone's talking about, biggest hit online, multiple world records. Of course, we're talking about Beast Games. Everyone loves it. There's just such crazy moments that, it's so hype. It's hard to believe that they could make people do such mind-boggling, tasks and force them into these difficult choices.
I gotta say, I thought that Beast Games was not what we were covering today.
Well, but you said we were talking about a show where people they're in a competition for money. Ooh, crazy things happen, and they're forced to make impossible decisions.
Exactly.
So it's got to be Beast Games,
Well, in a way, that is what it is. But Beast Games, you see, is a reality show. And the thing that I'm looking to discuss today is speculative fiction.
Okay, but what's crazier than all right, Tristan, I'll give you a crazy Beast Game scenario and you'll see fiction can't even compete, okay? So, a competition show.
Right.
You're on it.
Right, okay, yeah.
Your girlfriend's on it, and you got to make a choice here, Tristan.
Okay.
Either you keep your girlfriend in the competition with you,
right,
or she gets booed out of the competition and you get $500,000. Which are you going to choose?
Do I get the money right away?
Yeah.
Boot her of the competition. To $500,000, and then I just quit.
But Tristan, you're gonna have to live with you've kicked your girlfriend out of the competition. I mean, come on, can you seriously live with yourself if you've done that?
Yes. Yeah, you see, here's the thing. She's just over there. And if I leave with the $500,000, I have $500,000, which means she effectively has $500,000 because we split everything 50-50. And that means that we have this money to settle all of our debts and shit, and then live comfortably for a while. It's
okay. No, I don't think you understand how this. Okay, I'll give you another example.
Okay.
So all this time that these competitions and things are happening. Not only have the cameras been on you, but the host, they've been watching and they've been talking and they've figured out who your friends are. And you know what they're going to do, Tristan?
Okay, yeah.
They're going to make you live with your friends during the competition.
I've done that, actually. Quite a few of my friends at one point have been roommates of mine, so... Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah, no, see, I don't think you understand how Beast Games manipulate and do crazy stuff,
boundaries with each other, and you got to make sure that, hey, communication's really key. Hey, you didn't take the garbage out last week. Could you please make sure it's done this week? Okay, no problem, man. I got this. Or hey, I have this cake in the fridge. Please, that's my last slice. Don't eat that. But you're welcome to my bread or whatever.
Okay, well, what if I told you this wasn't just, mental competition and difficult scenarios?
Yeah.
Cerebral, Tristan, okay? Let me...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, you're going to get eliminated from the show unless you can answer these crazy questions.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you an example.
Like what?
What's the largest country in the world?
Do you mean like landmass wise?
Yeah.
You're joking, right?
No, that's how difficult and impossible to answer these questions are. Who would know that answer?
I mean,
that's why we're here to talk about Beast Games, right?
we're not. No, that's too that's too tame. Actually, in this case, how does anything get? Do people watch this and think this is exciting, or?
No, I don't. I'll be honest. I don't think that the show did particularly well. I could be wrong. Certainly critically, it did not. I don't know about viewership numbers, but
it's like we've had stuff like this in the past. We've had like Survivor, An Amazing Race, and we've had.
Yeah, no, it's a bad one of those from the review that I saw.
Okay, fair enough. That's too bad. Because like, I
is it?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. There could be a precedence for making a Squid Game-esque reality TV show. However, the things that people like about Squid Game, which is what we're talking about today, by the way, everybody, if you didn't guess, we're talking about that. Season 2, specifically. The things that people like about Squid Game Season 2 and Squid Game in general are the high stakes and the fact that you're playing kids' games against these high stakes. And, it's a kind of a fun, whimsical journey that gets really fucked up at the end.
Okay, yeah. I don't even know about the end. Kind of starts that way.
Kind of right away, yes. The journey is also kind of fucked up. It's a fun, whimsical journey that's also fucked up. And it's all about the prisoner's dilemma. Season 2 is specifically about the prisoner's dilemma. So,
go on.
Yeah,
let's hear about it.
All right. Well, Season 2 of Squid Game. So we had to have discussed Season 1 of Squid Game before.
Yes, right? we did. And my stance was they shouldn't make a Season 2 unless it's sort of an anthology thing where they set it in a different country, completely different cast of characters. And then they didn't do that. So I just went, not interested.
Totally fair. And honestly, I don't blame anybody for not following up into Season 2 if you thought that. And I thought that, and I still watch Season 2. And it's not the best. It's also not the worst, because some of what you want is still there. I mean, it takes them a bit to get to it, but they do play Dakji. They do play like the other little games, and they have like the red light green light thing is back, and etc.
Oh, they redo the same games?
They don't. They do they redo the first one, and they redo the first two. The Dakji thing it plays a point where like they're trying to meet the guy who runs the Dakji, like the paper flipping thing, so they can kind of get to him and like question him and shit. And then eventually, when they get to the games themselves, they bring back the red light green light thing, but the rest of the games have changed after that. And it takes him a while to get to the game. So Season 2 of Squid Game is only 7 episodes long, because it's split. It's going to have another half season coming out at some point this year. It's one of those. It's one of those.
For me, at that point,
yeah,
just pace it to be weekly.
Yes.
Well, don't give me 2 half seasons.
Yeah,
get out of here with that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so you do 2 episodes before you get to Jihoon actually back in the games. By the way, it's with the same guy, Ji-hoon, who obsesses over the fact that these games exist and he wants to take them down. All of the ending of season 1, in which he vows to take down the games. The police detective, whose brother is the guy running the show, is also back, as is the guy running the show, who's a character now.
Did the cop not die at the end of season 1?
It appeared that he did, but he washed up onto a boat. Yes.
All right.
Yep. Anywho, so the first 2 episodes are basically Ji-hoon is obsessed with the Squid Games, and he is running around trying to find the Doc G guy, and he has millions and millions and millions of yuan, and he's using his money to hire mercenary crews and PIs to try and find this guy in Seoul, in Seoul, Korea, and they think this guy's a myth until eventually one team runs into him, and they find the Doc G guy in a suit and briefcase, flipping paper and slapping a guy in the face, and like, this is it. We found the dude. The bonus money is ours. And they are then under orders to follow him and kind of like make sure that this is the right guy. And Ji-hoon he has created himself like a hidey hole fortress in a like sex dungeon, like sex hotel kind of thing, in which he's hollowed out into a shooting range. And he's bought like a bunch of guns and stuff.
This sounds like a Dragon game plot in some ways, which I'm into. That sounds. I appreciate that they went bonkers with it.
Oh, they did, yes. Anyway, so he's got this plan to take in the games. And so eventually he starts working with the detective who figures out that Ji-hoon is behind all this stuff. And they finally they get the Doc G guy, and he ends up killing one of the two main mercenary guys that Ji-hoon has hired, and he does so via like Russian roulette. And then eventually Ji-hoon and the Doc G guy play Russian roulette, and it's kind of it's honestly the best scene in the entire season, and that's just in like season 1 or episode 1, sorry. In which like they're playing Russian roulette, and like, you know, the Doc G guy's like looking at the gun, they're on the second chamber, and he's like, you know, you could just give up, but if you do give up, you gotta like admit the fact that like we're superior and all this blah blah blah, all this stuff. And then Ji-hoon like puts the gun to his head, pulls the trigger, and nothing happens. And he puts the gun on the table, and like literally the next shot is the bullet. And he's like, you could give up, but you gotta admit that I'm superior. It's just like, shit. Ooh, it's a good move. It's like the best part of the season is in episode 1, which is pretty unfortunate. Yeah. So they eventually get like an invitation, and Ji-hoon heads out to the Squid Games. We also follow a North Korean refugee woman who joins as one of the guards. We get to see her perspective. It's not a perspective that we actually need. It's kind of like following a stormtrooper in Star Wars, you know?
That's what I very much was afraid of with the season 2, is that it would...
We gotta see more perspectives.
Yeah, and it's a problem, I think, across media landscape these days, is that
we gotta humanize
it's a little bit on the fault of the people making the media, and I also think it's also on the fault of us, the audience, where so much so stuff feels like it is compelled to just explain and give reason to and rationalize okay, why would the I don't know if they have a name, but like the colored guards, was it pink?
Pink. It's just
green. Oh, was it just pink? I thought they were also green.
And there's also black.
Okay.
Like the one like
yeah, not. Well, yeah, I guess the ones in the black uniforms, but like, I don't need to understand and know why the people in pink would agree to do this. You don't have to rationalize, explain it. I am just willing to accept, no, this is just a piece of fiction and it works this way because you clearly want to tell a specific story. You want to explore certain aspects of what a human will do in a desperate and difficult situation, yada, yada, yada.
Exactly.
And I was very worried that, a season 2 would do those sorts of things. And it's why I didn't watch that show. And you saying that makes me glad I did not, because I would just be annoyed by those moments.
Yeah, no, they do put like one little twist in there. So the North Korean gal who is a guard, like her story is interesting-ish. She gets bullied by other guards. She's one of like the lower ranking ones. She's a circle as opposed to a square or a triangle. That's the hierarchy. And that's her story. The other interesting twist is that the guy in the black uniform with like the polygon mask, he actually ends up joining the Squid Games as a contestant without anybody knowing, because nobody knows his face. Because the detective is on a boat trying to find the island that Ji-hoon is on, because Ji-hoon put a tracker in his tooth. So when he got kidnapped, they could just find him. But it turns out they found the tracker and they dished it on a different island. And the boat captain they're chartering a boat from is also on the take by the bad guys. Yeah. So, and he's also been helping the detective guy help like try and find the island as well. And it's a whole thing. He's been taking him to the wrong islands consistently and all that stuff. Anyway, the games are happening now, and like I said, we start off with red light, green light, but we also get to meet the cast of season 2, and we got some interesting choices. So besides Ji-hoon, besides Ji-hoon, we have basically a host of others. We have a friend of like a childhood friend of Ji-hoon's who's now in this.
Again, huh?
Yeah. Again.
Okay.
Yep.
Don't feel like I need to see that again.
But he was in the Marines, so it's a whole like he like served in the army, in the military, and like he has
well, everyone does in Korea. It's mandatory. Well, yes. For men.
For men, yes. So speaking of that, what's here? There we go. Where is she? Yeah, so that's Park Jung-bae. Yeah. So there's another guy named Lee Myung-ji, who is a former crypto bro who went broke. And lost a bunch of money. Yeah.
All right. Maybe I do want to watch this just to see him die.
He doesn't.
What? What's even the point of this show? Why are we putting a crypto bro in it if we won't kill them?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I hear you. So he's a former crypto bro who his ex-girlfriend is also in the games, and she is pregnant. And his whole thing is he lost a bunch of people a lot of money.
Wait, that's what the friend in the first season had the problem with. What?
Yeah.
All right. It feels a little bit lazy on the character personas we're setting up, but go on.
Right. And then we also have where are they at? No, not her. forget they have the same name. Anyway, Jin Gum-ja, as well as her son. So it's a mother and son team who didn't know that either of them were joining the games, so they both joined individually. And then we have our villains. So we have... Oh, God, it's so good. This villain's... He sucks so bad, I love him. So the main villain, for a while, is a guy who's a rapper, like a really shitty rapper, named Thanos. And he has kind of like wild out hair, and he has like knuckle tattoos. It's the Infinity Gauntlet kind of shit. And he's really bad at rapping, and he fell for the crypto scam that the guy was running. And so he, like, you know, he coaches up to him and is like, hey, you gotta stay alive because you owe me some money, idiot. And this guy, Thanos, loves the games. He's into this shit. Big fan.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that makes him a villain per se, but
what makes him a villain is he also co-ops two other guys, Park Min-soo, who's just a sweet, gentle guy who just falls into a bad crowd, and Nam-gyu, his like full-on crony, who was a fucking murderer, it seems, into his whole thing, and they kind of become a gang, and they start kind of like, they're the ones that start the actual violence and shit. They're the ones that kind of like push people during the games and make them lose and all this stuff. So, there is also one other person. You mentioned military service. There's actually, well, there are two other military members in here. One named Daeho, who is a fresh out of the Marines, sir. Kind of character.
He's not going to do well. Go on.
Look at there. As well as, what's her name? Where is she at? Nope. Problem with this show is that I'm not very good with Korean names, and unfortunately it means that I have a hard time figuring out who's who. Forgive me.
Got to start listening to some more K-pop, you know?
I can't do that.
Then you'll be like, starring Lisa from Blackpink, I think. I don't listen to K-pop. I just know Lisa is a big K-pop star.
That is not a Korean name. So like that wouldn't even help me. Anyway, the person I'm trying to think of is Cho Hyung-ju. Cho Hyung-ju is a trans woman who did definitely also serve in the military before. And she is she's joined the Squid Games for a multitude of reasons. A lot of them dealing with transitioning and that kind of stuff. So, you know, there are a lot of motivations and a lot of like things kind of happening around, and you quickly get your factions start up as well. And the main one to, of course, look after is Ji-hoon's and his friends. There's like 4 of them, and one of them is the front man, or, you know, Hwang Hin-ho is his name. He kind of shows up as like player number 1. And the reason why they do that is because they've introduced into this season a voting mechanic. So, at any point after the game, after each individual game, the players get a chance to put to a vote whether they all walk away with whatever money they've won. You know, it's not like you split the pot, of course. Or
so the pot increases after each game?
Still increases, yes. So
was that was in season 1?
Yes,
wasn't
it was. Yes.
So what was the there was something similar in season 1 then that they must have allowed them to walk away, because I can't.
So they only play 6 games, and like at the very, very end, the idea is preferably there's 2 people left and you fight to the death. But if, for instance, there were like a team of 10, and that team of 10 somehow figured it out and got out by them like as 10 individual people, they would have split the pot 10 ways. And of course, as each individual person dies, the pot goes up.
Well, and your percent of the pot.
And so this is your percentage of it. Yes, exactly.
Double bonus.
Yep. So in this season, it's the exact same thing, where that works the exact same way. But now, what ends up happening is everybody can see the pot above them in the giant piggy bank, plus the amount that's in the piggy bank. And you can kind of do the math on how much you'll get, right? Individually. So you can go around the room and go like, okay, there's still like 300 of us. There's only 200 million yuan.
Won.
Was this won? It is just won,
yeah.
Yes.
It's just won. Korean won. Yuan is Chinese.
Chinese, thank you. Yeah, there's won. 30 million won, let's say. It's like, okay, we'll only get this much. And it's like, okay. That means during the voting, you have people split between, I just want to get the fuck out of here because these games are fucked up, versus the other people who are like, hey, just one more. And the pot goes up and our percentage goes up. There's no guarantee that we're all going to die. Just a few of us, maybe.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't dislike the prisoner's dilemma concept being introduced, but it does feel like oh, well, it's season 2. We can't just do the same thing again. We have to take it to the next level kind of thing. And if it was an anthology thing and it was believable that, hey, this time, because we're in this other country, we're going to do things differently. And actually, this could just work. It isn't just, oh, everybody will die. I feel like the problem with this is we, the audience, know that they want it to be a scenario of only one winner. Yeah. And so it doesn't... I obviously haven't watched it, but just from what you're saying, that novelty feels like it would not work. Because if you're sitting there going, yeah, but I know where this ends, it doesn't work in that case for me. The carrot on a stick doesn't work when I know the carrot is rubber.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where that comes into, because now Ji-hoon is back in the games as a contestant, same number and everything. And during the first game, which is red light, green light, with the same doll with the machine guns and with the motion tracker, and you had the sniper nests in the wall kind of thing. He plays the hero and figures out the game for everybody, and it's just like, don't move, don't speak, don't do anything. And he actually ends up saving the day, and everybody's just like, oh, this guy's the prophet. Like, we fucking follow Ji-hoon to our lives at this point. We will survive if we follow him. We saw this game kill a few people. We get it now. Immediately, this is a death game. We gotta follow this guy only. And then the next game, he's never played before. Because the next game after that is a 6-legged race in which you have individual stations during the race, and you must stop, and you then, one person in your team plays a different mini game, which is a game from their childhood. Maybe, hopefully. Yeah. So that's after the votes. So after the votes happen, and of course it comes down to one person. It's like, oh, it's split in the middle, but we have one guy who's going to decide the vote. Number 1 goes up and he votes to stay in the games. It's like, we'll just, and then he's like, he befriends Ji-hoon, and this is again the front man who's in charge of this whole shit. And he's just like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing, yada yada yada. Okay, I'm now with you guys. I'm now with Team Ji-hoon. I'm in. I'm going to help you guys out, and we're going to solve this problem and get the fuck out of here. He's like, yeah, Ji-hoon's a prophet. let's go. And then basically this game comes up where the Ji-hoon's never played it. And now everybody's just like, this Ji-hoon guy's full of shit. He just figured out the first game. So yeah, that's how this starts going. But of course there are people who are like his friends and then his confidants, the group, the faction that he's made, are all like, no, we do believe you. Like we're in. We're still in because so far you've kept us alive. Solid. We're in. And then, yeah, we do one more game. We then do, what was the other game? Oh, the merry-go-round. There's a merry-go-round game where basically you're spun on a merry-go-round with everybody else on it, and
okay.
There are rooms at the ends of the merry-go-round, and a number will come up, and it's like, let's say the merry-go-round stops and it says 5. You got to find 5 people and get them in a room. No more, no less. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you
sounds like a bad game, I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't.
It's it's a death game, so yeah, it's a bad game.
I mean, it's supposed to be based off of a kid's. That's not like a good game.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever played this myself, but like, it could be a thing.
That sounds like a game designed for Beast Games, to be honest.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. There's more voting. There's this show focuses more on the voting than anything.
Makes sense because okay, the hey, here's another messed up death game. That's hey, it's not like, it wasn't interesting despite them repeatedly doing that in season 1, but it makes sense for season 2 that they would sort of have those there, but really put the emphasis on something additional to not just have it feel like, well, we're just doing the same thing over and over and over, a la Saw.
Yeah, it does make sense. So those are the 3 games you get in the season 2. So that's basically it, because there's 7 episodes and 3 games they go through. And the reason for that is because near the end of season 2, Ji-hoon posits this to everybody. And this is after the same thing happens in season 1 where like there's a blackout and there's a bunch of violence and shit. Because like now everybody's kind of like, so what else happens when you vote for a side? You either get a red patch or a green or a blue patch, and when you vote for like whether to stay or leave, you get a blue patch for staying and a red patch for leaving. And so you factionalize everybody via their color at this point. So you get immense tribalism. So at a certain point, Thanos is killed by the Crypto Bro in a bathroom. And then during this, it looks like, the red patches jumped us and started killing everybody in the bathroom. So they all show up in the main the main like waiting room, the hub with the beds and everything. And it's like, oh shit. Well, okay, everybody calm down. This is what they want us to do. They want us to factionalize, relax. And the lights go out, and like last time, the violence happens, and everybody gets stomped and killed, and as it is. But Ji-hoon's got a plan, you see. During this, because what they need to do is bring in guards. During this stage of the game, what's going to happen is the guards will come in, and they're going to rush the guards and take their guns. And start fighting.
Yeah, I don't. Goes back to the carrot on stick thing. We, the audience, know that doesn't matter and that won't work. So it's not interesting to me.
Yeah, and here's the thing, you are correct. It doesn't really work. However, it does look like it starts to work for a while. So they grab the guns. They get I think 7 rifles. 7 MP5s, and then a bunch of handguns, and a few magazines of ammunition. Plus, they have 3 people trained as trained military soldiers. Looks doable, right? And so they start fighting their way through the the sets and that kind of stuff, and killing the pink suited people. And it gets to a point where Ji-hoon and his childhood best friend are in a hallway shooting at some guys, and they devise a strategy to get behind them and all this stuff. And the front man is still on their team at this point, and he betrays them and all this stuff. Ends up with basically everybody that could die has died. The trans woman who was in the military is still alive because she makes her way back to the hub, the hub zone, to get ammunition, because she sent Dae-ho, the fresh-faced guy who was also in the military, to get ammunition, but he freaked out and didn't come back. And so they're there kind of fuck, well, we need to go back now. So the trans woman starts going, and then it's the grandma who's no, don't, you're not going. They're sending more guys back this way. Just lay it in your arms, give up, survive to fight another day, kind of thing. And then Ji-hoon does the exact same thing, and he sees his best friend die, and then frontman reveals himself, and it's just a whole thing. And that's where the season basically ends. With they try to do this thing, and they failed, and now they're just kind of back in the spot where they were. And here's it is. It's kind of we sort of put a bit of a twist on it, saying we're going to try and fight, and not take it from the inside, but just try and fight it literally through violence, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, from what you're describing, I'm a little bit disappointed in is that, I think the just the fact that you're saying, the villains of this season,
yep,
it's a little bit irksome to me, because kind of what the show is doing is it's saying and I'm sure there's a proper name for this psychological phenomenon, but it's the crabs in the bucket situation of, if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, and if one of them is about to get out, the other crabs will drag them back down because they don't want to see the one crab succeed. And it sounds like this show is more interested in exploring that versus what kind of would have been better, more interesting to me, is hey, it's not that people, want to be violent, want to commit these horrendous acts. You can point to, even within, first world nations, you can point to, hey, why is this neighborhood more, whether it's actual, violence a la murder, or, robbery, graffiti, shoplifting, these, why did these things happen in these areas at a higher prevalence? It's well, because as a society, this region is not given the support and opportunities, and it forces people into poverty where they feel they have no other choices. I would have rather heard you talk about how this show explored that, and hey, Thanos, or the other kind of guy who had his 2 minions, hey, they're committing these acts of violence and they're murdering the other contestants. It's but they're not the villains. They're just playing the game. They're accepting this is the situation, trying to be, noble and magnanimous. It is pointless. They understand the situation and they are, just doing what they can to survive, even if that means acting in ways that, hey, we, the audience sitting at home, go, oh, that's, repugnant. How could anybody be this heartless? It's like, well, because what other choice do they have? They're doing what they have to survive. Exactly. So I'm a little bit disappointed to hear that, it portrays these people as villains and bad for doing these things, when the reality is, well, no, Thanos murdering that dude in the bathroom. Yeah, it's perhaps other way around. Yeah, it's maybe underhanded. Yeah, it's not chivalrous or anything, but it's the right move. Whether we want to admit it or not, that dude is doing what he has to survive.
Yep,
and
exactly.
In a situation that he, unknowingly was forced into. I won't say had no other choice, because the reasons he got there are obviously of his own fault with the whole crypto thing.
True enough.
But look, I don't like crypto bros, but getting real for a second, I don't think crypto bros should be forced into a Squid Game situation. And a T-Bros, maybe. Crypto Bros, not so much.
To be fair, the point of the Squid Game is that nobody is necessarily forced into this, except for Ji-hoon, really. And even he was, looking for, trying to get into the games himself. Nobody's really forced into this. They're all technically, joining on their own accord, even though they actually are being forced into it through societal means and the fact they're in debt and that kind of stuff. They target specific people. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think that, the individual characters in this season, they're decent. I'll give it this. They're decent characters, and the ones that you end up rooting for are kind of your freaks and geeks kind of people that are unlikely heroes and this sort of stuff, which is that's a good message, and that's interesting enough, and but we got enough of that, and we don't. Thanos should have stuck around. I would have loved him to not be killed in episode 6 or whatever, because he ends up being the most entertaining thing in the entire show, because he's just yeah, give me another fucking game, let's go. And he's just well, we're gonna see it in. He's skipping to these games. He loves this. His mortality is on the line, and he's just let's go, motherfucker, I'm gonna play a game and win. And he's
not
great.
here. You're getting Thanos hand tattoos soon.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But no, he's a lot of fun. He's an interesting villain. But I think that you are correct. Season 1, that whole thing with Season 1 is more so, what if, shit was more gray? Because even though there are people in Season 1, they're hey, this is this is a triad. This guy runs this crew of people, and they are going to do bad things together, and it's very clear that they are bad people. But even then, their individual reasonings behind they don't enjoy this. They want out, but they do want to dominate, and they know they can. So well, we might as well. They had nothing against anybody. This is just business. And it's just Season 1 is more so about business as usual. We're sorry, but we're going to do tug of war, and we're going to pull everybody off the fucking cliffside, because we have a very strong team. That's just how it is. No hard feelings, but you're going to die. And we're going to win. In Season 2, shit is a lot more visceral because everybody has factionalized and everybody has really hard, strong feelings against one another, which means that, like, the individual fights that happen are more meaningful and more impactful. And when, like, the lights out scene happens and, like, you get the full on, like, row of, like, heavy gang violence in a little war zone, that feels, honestly, in season 2, it feels real bad. It's good. Like, if it's a great scene, it's a way better season than season 1 because the tension is ratcheted up like crazy. Because as a viewer of season 1, you know they're going to do this scene again. But now you have the idea of, like, okay, there's, like, you're counting your mind because they just did a vote and now you know how many red there are versus how many blue there are. And it's like, oh shit, they have like 20 more blue. Oh god, this could be a bloodbath kind of thing. And it's just like, once you've done the math and once you know what's happening, you're like, this is, as a viewer, season 2 becomes a lot more interesting because we can see the game strings and we know what they're doing. But the stories are harder won because even though there are more interesting characters in season 2, season 1 has an air of mystery that season 2 definitely doesn't have. And of course you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Once it's out, it's out. So what do? You have to kind of like change things up and like try and focus on different aspects. But I think the problem with season 2, they also do this a little too much where they focus on the mercenaries in the boat with the detective and that crew trying to find the island.
Yeah, that was always the least interesting part of season 1 to me, was the cop doing the investigation. Yeah. It's like, I don't need to know about who the people running the Squid Games are, why they're doing this, how they're even doing it. None of that matters. That's not the interesting part of this story.
And it's especially because in season 1, the cop doesn't even rescue anybody. You assume he's going to rescue Ji-hoon or break this whole thing wide open or whatever. Something like that, right? You kind of assume that that's what's going to happen. It's kind of set up that way, but that doesn't happen. And in season 2, that also doesn't happen. And you're waiting for it to happen even more in season 2 because they are it's a whole militarized group of them actively searching using high-tech means to try and find Ji-hoon. And they still can't.
Yeah. Even in season 1, that was also the part I felt like, despite everything that's happening, this is once you start poking at that with the cop, it's like, this is the least realistic part of this. Hundreds of people agreed to join this game, go missing, all the guards involved.
Right.
Like, building all this stuff on this island, bringing all this food, all these things. You're like, there's no way you keep this, even remotely.
The logistics
secret. It's silly. Yeah. So the idea of now you've got the cops using high-tech equipment to do all this. It's like, this is
drones with X-ray vision and shit.
This is so
they still can't
goofy.
Find them.
The idea, they still can't find. Like, what are we doing? Come on.
Yeah, they literally at one point find a hatch that leads into like a metal bunker. And they open it and it's actually booby trapped and kills like 3 of the guards through the mercenaries. So it's just like. Yeah. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, this aspect is such a boring piece of crap that I just could not bring myself to like care about like the mercenaries and the detective. Which is the same for season 1. I couldn't care less about the detective if I wanted to.
Yeah. So have they said when either they're calling it a season 3 or a season 2 part B or whatever, have they said when that's coming?
It was in the last episode. I can't remember when it was now, though.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point it's coming out.
Is it like a super long wait or like a couple months or something?
I'm pretty sure it's this year. Let me just quickly look this up because I feel like it's...
Yeah, because I'll be...
June 27th of this year.
Oh, okay. Not too far. Because it definitely feels like Squid Game is something Netflix isn't going to let go of. That in their minds, I think they have a video game on Netflix because Netflix has a game streaming service thing. It's weird.
Yeah.
I think they have one of Squid Game's. Squid Game has shown up in, I think it was Call of Duty I saw not that long ago. Or maybe it was PUBG or something. I forget. Some shooter thing where, you could put on the pink suits and the masks with the triangle, circle, square.
Yeah.
I think Fortnite had something too. What hasn't been in Fortnite? I could probably say anything and go, that was in Fortnite. People go, oh, okay, yeah. But it'll be kind of interesting to see once that the second part is wrapped up. What Netflix announces of more Squid Game content. Because I cannot see it being, season 2 comes out and then they go, and we're done. Maybe we're done with Ji-hoon.
Yeah.
Maybe some things do change, but I get the feeling that they're going to try and keep just squeezing more blood out of the stone.
I agree with that. Here's the thing. Also, I stumbled upon something just looking up Squid Game on Netflix. There's a Squid Game fireplace you can watch for your holidays.
What does that mean?
It's a Squid Game fireplace. It's a fireplace set in like the rich people's room in the Squid Game set.
Does anybody involved in that understand the emotions and just atmosphere people want to create during the holidays?
No. It's a black room too. It's like a black and gold room. It's not festive in the slightest. Anyway, the point is, I don't think anybody actually understands what they're doing. Also, so season 3 of Squid Game is going to be the last one, at least according to the creator and that kind of stuff. Now, Netflix being Netflix, if it's just like, hey, this is making us mad bank, so no, it's not the last season. I think that is a possibility, but it's probably not going to still be with the same creator. Maybe it is, if they can sway him to be like, hey, stay on because money is good. We'll see. That could also mean that if they do that and it's a different creator, hey, it could mean a whole different, scenario, different people, different island, different locale, totally different country it's in. Anything.
Actually,
right?
aren't they doing? I gotta look this up. I'm 90% certain they announced a Squid Game US version so that people don't have to deal with subtitles.
Oh no! Did they? It's also dubbed. It has a good dub actually. It's very well dubbed. I watched the dub.
No, they are doing an American remake.
Oh,
I'm not wrong.
Ugh. Fucking Americans.
Oh, David Fincher is involved in it? Why?
Oh, why? Yeah. Ew.
Surely you've got better things to do, David Fincher, than a Squid Game adaptation.
Yeah, he's doing a Squid Game spin-off.
To be clear, I'm not a fan of David Fincher, really.
It's okay.
No, I feel like he's got better things to do than a bad adaptation.
He did The Killer in 2023, which was okay. Chinatown series. Wait. He was doing a Chinatown series? Oh, thank fuck. Yeah, let him do the Squid Game thing. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Chinatown deserve that.
Thinking on it, yeah, maybe he should do that so that we're spared from something we like being given to him.
Yes. Look, I think, okay, here's the thing. I think David Fincher could totally do a Chinatown adaptation, and would probably be okay. But he's not a very subtle director. And like Chinatown is all about the subtlety of how it's not a detective story. Like it is, but it's not in the traditional sense. So the fact that he's paused Chinatown, a series, not a movie, a series based on a movie that I really like. Let him do the Squid Game thing. That's fine. That's less significant in my life. So yeah, go ahead and do the Squid Game thing, dude. Whatever you got. Anyway, yeah, Squid Game season 2 is fine. It's there's nothing wrong with it. It is unfortunately just not focused. So like at least season 1, even though it has like the jumps to the detective occasionally, those are at least pretty short. And I don't think they really eat up that much time. And when they do get to the nitty gritty and get down to like just doing the games, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Like, yeah, we got a new one. Here's the anticipation point. Okay, let's go. New aspects. All right, how are we gonna play this game? What's this one about? All right, more of the world gets revealed. Rich fat cat white guys in like fucking dog masks and shit. That's crazy. All this stuff. And season 2 so far, it's just kind of like, okay, here's some behind the set stuff. And they got some guns now. Okay, there was this thing in the beginning with like the Doc G guy. And he was awesome and crazy. And that was the best part of the show so far. And the games are back, but now they're doing like there's only 3 games in this season because it's a split season. Which means we have to do one of the episodes where we do the 6-layer race. We're gonna put in 5 games, so that way it's all like, you know, you get to experience a bunch of these, and now it's gonna be great. And there's a lot of tension because you're racing the clock around this loop, and you gotta play these mini games. You gotta like make sure to like pass each one, and if you don't, you're too fucking bad. And they're actually quite difficult. And oh man. Great episode. Except for the end, where once you know who's going to win, it's just like we don't care anymore. Yeah, they've kind of, I don't know, like they've reined back the games a bit. They're doing too much in certain episodes and then too little in other ones, but they are still maintaining a lot of that tension, which is good, but maybe not in the right way. I don't know. Season 2 just didn't quite do it for me like season 1 did. And to its point, like season 2 I think could have been good. It just failed in a lot of ways. And not in any way that it's like fail is not the right term for it. It just kind of hit mediocre strides and focus too much on stuff that nobody cares about. Now, that doesn't mean it should only be about the games and should only be about, you know, Ji-hun trying to survive another series of games or whatever. There's room for improvement. I think that like the North Korean gal in like in the guards, I think that's an interesting story. I kind of wouldn't mind a show, like a short series about that aspect, because you could do something with that. And kind of the same with like The Detective. If that was its own little series, that could work, but it has to be the focal point, not a sidebar. What you have right now is a heavy A plot, which is like the one everybody wants, and then a B plot that nobody cares about, and a C plot that's interesting, but nobody cares about. So when these come up, A and B, or when B and C comes up, it's time to look at your phone, because they just don't do anything with them. But then A comes back. It's like, oh, okay, great. We watch this again because like now that they're voting for if we're going to stay in the game again or not. But the thing is, the answer is they're going to stay in the game because there would be no show otherwise.
Yep.
I will say this, though. They do a good job of still keeping that tension there because, because sometimes the numbers will, go up a little bit on one side and catch up on this side and the whole thing. So, they do a good job of keeping that tension. It's still just, the outcome. So, season 3, I hope if they, when that comes out, there's a few more surprises. Because the surprises in season 2 just did not live up to what they wanted, I don't think. Which is really too bad.
Yeah, that surprised me. Now, we should start wrapping up. Yeah. But let me pitch you, okay?
Okay.
A season 4 Squid Games. Obviously, we got to spice it up. We got to reinvent it.
Okay, yep.
What do? Card games on motorcycles.
Okay.
If it worked for Yu-Gi-Oh, it'll work for Squid Games.
Oh, that Yu-Gi-Oh DX was it was?
No. You're thinking GX was the sequel to the first Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, okay.
5Ds is the one where they're on motorcycles.
Gotcha. Awesome. Sounds like a good use of my time.
Yeah.
Maybe they should introduce that. I don't know. That wouldn't be outside of the realm of what they would want to do. So maybe, I don't know.
They really, all of Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of bad, if I'm being honest.
It is. I agree. But
except for that one time where Yugi plays his card, he's like, it's going to stab the moon. As a kid, you're like, that's hype.
What?
And then when you grow up, you're like, wait, no, you can't have your monster attack the field. That's not how that works. That's not
how the game works at all.
No.
Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't know how your own game's played, you stupid asshole.
No, he really doesn't. They really don't in season 1.
Oh my god. That's too bad. Yeah, Squid Game season 2, kind of a messy, mediocre, nothing burger of a season. Some good stuff, but I don't know. Focus, guys, focus. Your audience very clearly only cares about a certain aspect of this show, and it's not what you think it is. Maybe try again in season 3. And then eventually 4 or 5 when Netflix makes you do them.
It'll be a movie in between or something.
Yeah. I mean, Netflix is also producing that their own reality show based on Squid Games, so there's that too.
Yeah, they will beat the horse dead. Don't worry.
Oh, they love beating dead horses.
It's the Netflix way.
It sure is. Yes.
Anyway, we should wrap it up. So why don't you tell people where to find us?
Go to our Blue Sky, which is at eifnir. Go there and tell us how much you like playing Doc G with strangers in the park as he slaps you every time you lose.
Don't do that. It's a bad idea.
Maybe do that. Sounds like a fun time to me. Go to our Spotify and iTunes and rate us something, leave a review. Tell your friends. If you're on YouTube, tell your friends about our YouTube show, which is what you're watching right now, I would assume. And then direct them to here, and we can kidnap them and send them to a small island off the coast of Korea.
Can't we just send them to a small island off the coast of our province? Because that's going to be expensive, flying them all the way out there.
Yeah, but then, I don't want them...
Sable Island's only a couple of kilometers, I think, off
but it's got a bunch of
shore.
Horses. I like those horses, and I don't want them to be upset by, a bunch of Squid Game bullshit.
Okay, well, I don't know. We'll send them to Oak Island.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody, there's gold in Oak Island. You can definitely find gold there. It's pirate gold, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we don't have to pay. They'll go there themselves.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's pirate gold in Oak Island. It's got to be, because there's a whole mythology.
If you play this game, you get to win the pirate gold.
Yep. You got to dig it out, though.
All right, yeah, we can make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, go to our friends over at DJDane.com. This guy does the music, DJDane.com. Go over there, listen to his great tunes, and send him to Oak Island too. Why not? Yeah, to supervise.
Love it.
To supervise.
Oh, I was going to make him be in the competition.
Oh. If he wants to be, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another eensy episode of Everything's Fucking Ruined. See ya.
See ya.